What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Winning Edge podcast. I'm your host, Leonard Wheeler, and today I'm going to continue from the last podcast on discussing men's health, but not just men's health. The title of this episode is called The Dream. And let me just explain why I'm calling it The Dream. I want to share with you my journey on how I ended up becoming a global ambassador for Profound Medical. When I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, I shared with all of you in the last episode that it was devastating for me. It was something that when you hear those words come from someone or you read them, it transforms your soul internally. And I remember when I heard those words, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the process of how the dream happened and what happened after the dream. And one of the things that I believe and I can continue to attest to and affirm in my own life, that where there's a vision, God provides provision. So when I had my procedure at the Bush Center in Atlanta, I went home to a VRBO with my family. And like I said, I was a little belligerent because of the way I felt after the procedure. Is that I felt as if I could do things. Even though I had a catheter in me, I felt that I was healthy enough to help unload or et cetera, the things that I'm used to doing. Well, my family had a come to Jesus meeting with me, and I understood that I was being belligerent and that they loved me, so they allowed me to sit and look at them do the work. Now, that night, I had a dream. Just like Martin Luther King had a dream or anyone else had a dream, I had a dream, and let me tell you about the dream. The dream was of me speaking to thousands of people. I can't attest to if they were all men or not. But what I remember is I had a dream and I'm on this stage and I'm speaking to thousands upon thousands of people. And I'm talking to them about health and about prostate disease, prostate cancer. It's even hard for me to call it a disease because no one wants to believe that they have a disease or something in them to make them feel that something is wrong or something's broken. And so it's taken me a while to be able to speak through some of those terms and understand that it's okay. And the Lord is going to help me grasp what those terms mean in my own life. But I had a dream and I'm speaking upon thousands of people. And I remember having a dream, and I woke up that morning. I told my wife, Kim, I said, baby, I had a dream last night. And I told Lindsay, my baby, I told Lindsay, our daughter, and I said, I had a dream and I have to share it with the doctors this morning. Now, I'm saying these two names because Kim and Lindsay went with me to the doctor the next morning, which was not even 24 hours. Okay. So I finished the procedure around 6 p.m. that evening, and we had to go to the doctors at 8 a.m. that next morning. So here I am. I'm talking to Kathy and Joe Bush, and I'm talking to Dr. Bush, and I say, hey, I want to share a dream with you that I had last night, and I need for you to know that this is not what I do. I'm not a pitch person when it comes to that, okay? That is not really my makeup. And so I said, I want to share a dream. I said, I had a dream last night, and I was speaking to thousands of people, and they were all over the place, and we were cheering and chanting, and I remember Kathy Bush looked at me, and the first words out of her mouth is, I'm going to call Tom. So I said, who is Tom? Little did I know, this guy named Tom was the CMO, or is the CMO, of Profound Medical, which is the company that actually created the machine, along with the doctor that created the machine, and owned the rights to the machine that I had the procedure in, called the Tulsa Pro. The Tulsa Pro is the amazing mechanism that God used for my prostate cancer. So let me finish my story. So Kathy Bush decides to FaceTime Tom Tamburino. So she FaceTimes Tom Tamburino. Tom gets on the phone. And he goes, "Hey, Leonard, I'm driving right now. I can't show my face, but, so Kathy goes, Tom, this is Leonard, Kim, and Lindsay Wheeler. And Leonard wants to share with you about a dream that he had last night." So I said, "Hey, Tom, how are you doing?" He goes, "Hey, Leonard, how are you doing?" I said, "Tom, I need for you to know that I'm not a pitch person. And I know it's going to sound like I'm trying to defend something. But I said, Tom, I had a dream last night that I was speaking in front of thousands of people. And after I shared my dream with Tom, these are his exact words. That's awesome. Where do we go from here?" I want to pause for a second to where Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's plans that prevail." Listen, like I said, as I know of, prostate cancer did not run in my family. I try to do all the right things. Dr. Wiley Davis saw a trend go from 1 to 2 to 3 on my PSA over 3 years. He saw this trend. This doctor decides, African-American doctor, 70 years old, he goes, "We are 1 out of 6 to receive prostate cancer. I need for you to get this seen about." I go take a urine test. After the urine test, I get an MRI. After the MRI, I get a biopsy. After the biopsy, I speak to Michael Vines, a good friend of mine. Anyway, it leads me to the Bush Center. But let's get back to Tom Tamburino. The reason I'm sharing what I'm sharing today is sometimes God allows you to take information in, process the information, so that you can relay the story the way He needs you to relay the story. But He also reveals something in the process of relaying a story. He reveals character, integrity, and He shows us who we really are in the midst of it. So I proceeded to tell Tom about the dream. Tom goes, "Where do we go from here?" Tom and I continued to connect after I left the Bush Center. Tom then and we continue to connect. Tom flies to Charlotte, North Carolina to visit my wife and I. He comes to visit for 1 day. He's here not even 12 hours probably. We go to dinner. We come to our home. I invite him into our home. He meets us and he decides that, you know what? We are going to work together. Now, let me pause again. Is that there are a lot of things that happens in the process of dreaming. But I believe this, that if we continue to hold fast to what God has put in us and stop thinking that people are going to understand what God put in us, we're going to miss the mark. It is not always for people to understand. And let me tell you something. It is not always for us to understand that sometimes the Father is going to put something in your spirit and He's not going to tell you how it's going to happen and who you're going to meet. He just wants you to walk in obedience, but He also wants you to know that He never sent anyone by themselves. he always brought people along with them to help them on the journey. And what I'm saying to you is this, is that my passion is to live out the commandments of the Father. And I'm going to fall short, and I have plenty of times. And let me tell you, I'm the hardest judge on myself. So Tom comes, he leaves. We continue to build this relationship. We negotiate with Profound Medical. And I tell them that this is not about telling one person a story. This is about telling the world a story. I know this, coming from and growing up the way I grew up, is that one, when you think about prostate cancer, you think about prostate checkups, we don't want people to touch our butt. Like seriously, as weird as that sounds, don't touch my butt. Then on top of that, you're thinking that before you go there. So then on top of that, you have to have the conversation with people about prostate, which is a scary conversation at times, or most of the time. And you don't know how to have the conversation because it's such a sensitive conversation. And it's embarrassing to have the conversation. I've talked to a lot of my friends and mentors that have had prostatectomies, and what comes along with that is scary. And that's one of the reasons I'm really having this conversation today as well, is to say, we have options, men. Ladies, you're men. They have options. It doesn't have to be one way of thinking. God didn't just create one way of moving and navigating through life. He created a canvas and said that I'm going to give you a blueprint that is based on the dream that I'm going to give you. And once I give you that dream, I want you to not be afraid to manifest that dream and to walk therefore in it, because I'm going to meet you there. He didn't say I'm going to show you always, I'm not going to always show you how to do it. I'm going to make sure that you understand that I can also meet you there. And God can give us a new dream. I remember when I was 8 years old, I had a dream. I said, I want to play in the NFL one day. I had a dream. I had a dream one day that I was going to graduate from college. I had a dream. I had a dream one day that I would get my master's. I had a dream. And I just finished my master's from the University of Liberty. I had a dream. And when God gives us a dream, he's not giving us a dream and going to do the work. He's going to give us a dream, and then what we're going to have to do is that we're going to have to do the work. We're going to have to grind. We're going to have to get our fingers dirty and our toes dirty and reach down in the sand and say, Father, I'm going to stand still only because I know that I can stand on your word, because that word is the foundation that you have given me so that I might have life, but not just have life, but have life more abundantly. Gosh. When he says you are perfectly and wonderfully made, it is not for me to doubt if I'm perfectly and wonderfully made. He didn't say, I think you are. He said you are. And that is the encouragement in this journey. So I am a global ambassador for Profound Medical. And I want to thank my brother, Tom Tamburino. Because let me tell you what else a dream takes. Is that when God spoke to Moses and he showed Moses in the burning bush, he talked to Moses in the burning bush, and he gave Moses dreams that he is going to go and set the captives free, that I'm going to go and set my brothers free. He sent someone with him, his brother called Aaron. He said, Moses was scared. He said, I'm a stutterer. I can't really speak eloquently. He said, guess what? I have something for you. I'm going to send your brother who will also be your mouthpiece, and he will walk therefore with you. God is going to send people to walk with us. He's not going to send us alone. So when you have that dream, just know that that dream doesn't have to be just buried with doubt and fear, that you're going to be able to keep your hands open, and the Father is going to say, let me see it. And I promise you that I'll meet you somewhere in between. And if it is thy will, Lord, I pray that I trust you and that you continue to do what you do. And when he died on that rugged cross, he didn't die on the rugged cross. God had a dream. He had a dream that one day he would die for us, and that he would raise on the third day, and that he would forgive us, and that we will be able to come directly to him. And guess what he said? I'm going to leave you a comforter, the Holy Spirit, that will continue to live in and through you, that you will not have to doubt and live alone. That's how much he loves us. So I want to thank Profound Medical, Tom Tamburino. I want to thank the entire team. This is not me going through all the thank yous that I went through last week. I love you, and I thank all of you so much for your prayers. I thank you for your support. You all have been so amazing, reaching out, sending text messages, posting, calling, and I'm so grateful. God is going to give you a dream. And maybe he's already given you a dream. And maybe you allowed that dream to die. What I'm going to ask you to do is this. I want you to go to him. And I want you to confess to him. Father, I was afraid. I was afraid of living out that piece of me, because I felt that I was going to have to do it alone. And in that surrender moment, I want you to know that the Father will meet you where you are. Men, we have to stop being afraid. We have to stop hiding. And we have to create a movement. What if we could do this? What if we had a blue ribbon? What if we had a blue ribbon? Just like breast cancer, but we had a blue ribbon, which I know we have the blue ribbon for prostate, but that we were able to wear that blue ribbon in the NFL. That every athlete would have that blue ribbon on their jersey in the month of September. Anyway, it's a dream of mine. I will not stop dreaming, Lord. As long as you give me breath, I will not stop dreaming. And I thank you for giving me a dream. God bless you all. Have an awesome, awesome week. And thank you for listening to The Winning Edge. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of The Winning Edge. You can write in and ask your questions on my Instagram page at Leonard Wheeler 7, and I will address your questions on an upcoming episode. If this episode helped you, I would love for you to share it with your friends, colleagues, and family. Share the episode with those that you feel can benefit from it. You can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, X, and LinkedIn, found in the show notes. I would greatly appreciate it if you would rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe now, and let's build your legacy.